Hey, howdy, hey, folks. It is Mrs. Johnson again. Super late at night, once again, has always, because that's who I am currently. We are retaking our gardening basics, our area measurements video, because I didn't like the way the last one turned out. So I updated it. Um, might delete the other one. I don't know yet. We're gonna figure it out. So let's talk about it. Garden gardening area measurements. We're going to talk specifically about what all that means. So, what is it? Garden area measurements, and why we do it. So, today, we're going to calculate how much your how much you can plant in your garden, and it's useful for maximizing garden efficiency. Some people use it to maximize like prettiness in their garden or like optimal production, stuff like that, which will be later videos. But today we're just talking about how to do math. Um, Step one, uh, measure your garden spaces. Go outside, go do it. And then create an accurate map like this. This photo. You see here that north, south, east, west is located. Um, you have like labels on things that are important to have labels on, in terms of like what you're doing in that space. And then you also have like 30 inches by 100 feet, 30 inches by 30 feet, 20 inches, 5 feet, in places that it's applicable, um, for accurate measurements. Right, your greenhouse, 20 feet, 30 feet. Um, those things are important uh, to have. And then your next step is to assign where crops go in said map that you just made and keep that for your records, because in 3 years you will forget that potatoes do really badly in that section and how many potatoes you put there. So just hold on to things in a place you hopefully won't lose them. Um, and take notes after you make this about how said crop worked out. And then once you go, okay, I want potatoes in this bed, carrots in that bed, lettuce in that bed, you're going to calculate how many plants can fit in that spot and also write that down. And then you're going to plant things. So, first and foremost, how do we calculate square footage of our space? I'm going to move my photo. We calculate square footage of our space using length times width for squares and rectangles. Um, if you don't have a square or rectangle, Google it or try and make it a square or rectangle, because that makes life easy. In this case, for this example, we're using a 19-inch wide bed and a 72.5-inch long bed, as demonstrated by the square. And if we're using length times width, you would times 72.5 by 19, which give you inches. We don't want inches because inches isn't usually applicable to most crops. So we're going to take 72.5 times 19, divide that whole thing by half, which is why the parentheses are there. Or divide that whole thing by 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot. I should do a video on dimensional analysis for unit conversion. Sounds like a great math basics video. We'll get there. So if we do all that math, it is 114.8 feet squared, square feet. So then we jump into calculating crop spacing, which, if you look back on our gardening basics video for reading plant seed packets, this is pulled directly from that dill example. Why do I have chicken examples here? You can tell I also didn't update this. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. So our dill example, as demonstrated by this photo, is 1 inch seed spacing. So row spacing or seed spacing, 1 inch apart. And then row spacing going the opposite direction is 2 feet. And so these are in two different units, 1 inch, 2 feet. 2 feet is 24 inches. So we can multiply row spacing by seed spacing. 1 times 1 inch times 24 inches in parentheses, divide by 12 gives us 2 feet squared. Each dill plant needs 2 feet, 2 square feet of planting. So when we plant those things, we're going to put them 2 feet apart in that 1 inch by 2 feet square, or that would be a rectangle. Very, very thin rectangle. So then we find out how many seeds we actually need for the space that we have. And we do that by our bed spacing, our width times length, divide by our total seed spacing. And we already did the width times length of the 19 inches by 72.5 inch bed. We said that was 114.8 feet squared. And then our seed spacing, plant spacing, whichever you would like to call it, is 2 feet squared. So you divide your bed by your plant spacing. So 114 divided by 2 is somewhere between 57 and 58 dill plants. I should have added units in here, but a dimensional analysis video. I will do one. I will show you things. So then, right, once we found out, okay, cool, we need 57, 58 seeds. We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to buy those things. But let's say you're working with raised beds and not just like planting in the dirt, right? Because a lot of backyard gardeners and farmers and things do raised beds, and they're lovely, wonderful tools. So let's look at this. We need to find out how much soil we need in order to fill a raised bed, because you can't just like magically plant things on top of your raised bed without putting soil in it. And so we do that by finding cubic feet. Cubic feet is width times length times height of said bed. We know our bed space is 114.8 or 3/4 of a foot squared, right? So we've already done the width times length. And if we use this example specifically for the bed spacing, we are 11 inches and 11 5/8 inches tall. If you do that conversion into decimals, it is 11.6 inches tall. Now, we are in feet. We need to convert from inches over to feet. So we divide that 11.6 by 12 to get 0.96 feet, not squared because it's only one direction. And so then you plug that number into our equation, right? We've already done width times length. And so 114 times 0.96 is 110.2 feet squared, right? That's how much cubic feet we need of soil to fill this bed in order to plant the dill seeds that we are going to hypothetically plant in this raised bed. Which brings along another question, because if you take that 110.2 cubic feet to like a hardware store or a nursery and go, I need 110.2 feet cubed of soil, that's not how they're going to sell it to you. They're going to sell it to you in cubic yards. So we're going to talk about how to convert over to cubic yards. You can also Google any dimensional analysis conversion, unit conversion that you would like, and Google more often than not has lovely, lovely, simple answers. If not, drop comments, I'll help. So converting cubic feet into cubic yards. Um, you take your cubic feet number and divide it by 27. That'll give you cubic yards. Soil needed. So in that case, soil needed or space in cubic feet, 110.2 feet cubed, as we mentioned in the last video. If we divide that by 27, we get 4.08 cubic yards. Now, you might go, okay, cool. What do I do with that 0.08? Is it enough for me to just buy 4 bags, or do I buy 5? That's kind of personal preference and situation. I would almost always recommend buy the 5th bag or buy the 5th yard because it's going to be helpful in the long run to have a little bit of extra soil. And particularly with like new raised beds, you might put 4 in there and wait for the air and the things to settle out of the soil. And you might actually need that 5th bag. Like 3 months later, you might be like, wow, where'd all my dirt go? No, it's 4 cubic yards. There's just lots of air and soil when you move it a lot. And soil is heavy. If you've ever moved it in wheelbarrows or in cubic yards, it can get pretty heavy, especially when it's wet. So, as it sits, it sinks and takes all the air pockets out that you've made, which is why we till things so we can put the air pockets back in it. But that being said, buy the 5th bag unless you're like okay with the dirt settling below that like top rim of that raised bed. So, last but not least, if you have questions, need more examples, I was not super clear on something, if you're confused on something, feel free, drop some comments, ask me questions, do all the things. Try and use these numbers and these conversions on your own, in your own little gardening space, hypothetically or in real life, and see what all you can get from it. Alrighty. Have a lovely, lovely day, and time for the awkward Zoom pause while I stop recording. Okay, I will see you later because I'm recording another one today. So, yes, later. Have a good day.